Hey guys, Darren Johnson, Jones Customs LLC. Today I'm going to be showing you how to block out primer and get your panel ready for paint. So in this can I got what's called Guide Coat. That's what this mist of blackness looks like on this door. Gives you a pretty good idea of where you're standing and kind of show your low spots and high spots. I'll demonstrate that here in a second. Oh yeah, in my previous video I showed you how to block out your style line. Make sure you get it straight. I'm going to do that again here because it's not quite perfect yet. So I figured I'd use my primer to really get it there. So I'm going to use my block. I'm still going to do my crosshatch motion here. And I'm going to block right to my tape so I can see right where I'm going to hopefully get the style line nice and straight. The curvature under the style line is really hard to make perfect. That's something you'll have to play with and just keep practicing until you figure it out. So once you got that style line roughed out pretty well, you could reuse tape, mark off the other part of your line if it has one. Okay, so once you got that pretty well sanded out, you go ahead and untape it. Once you got that go ahead and untape it once you got it pretty well sanded out. It might be a little bit of a pain, but you know, whatever. And it might not look quite perfect yet until you sand it out, you know, with a finer grit. Okay, so if you got multiple style lines like these, if yours, you know, are damaged around those areas and you're doing body work around them, that might be something you might tape off or use Guide Coat to make sure you get them straight. I already know that these style lines here and at the top are really close. So I'm just going to go ahead and block them out and not waste my time using tape. Another helpful tip, keep your sandpaper nice and sharp. It'll cut a lot better, make things straighter. Okay, so once you block for a little bit, it gets pretty tiring. Pretty good time to take a break, go down to the store or something, get a drink. Okay, so I finished blocking it out with 80 grit. I'm going to go ahead and blow it off. Re-guide coat it and go to 180 grit. As you can see along here where there's still a little bit of guide coat right on the edge, that's because I wasn't going to take 80 grit and knock my corners way down. 80 is pretty coarse, hard to control. Okay, so you can see right here, this is kind of demonstrate what the guide coat does or what it's used for. You can see there's still that scratch marks in there from when I 80 gritted it. And as I'm sanding out with 180, it lets me know that I need to keep on sanding until it's gone. Okay, so I got the door blocked out. It's always a good idea to feel your panel over and make sure it feels straight before you go any farther. I can tell that I've got a little bit of a low spot here. So it's just saying that just because you sanded your guide coat off doesn't always mean that that works perfectly. So I'm going to re-guide coat that area and keep walking on it until hopefully that goes away. Also, it might be helpful to get more of a rigid block than what I was using earlier. Normally I don't have any issue with that. Okay, so I finished blocking it out with 180. I'm fairly happy with it. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to use a DA and sand it out with 400 grit. And hopefully it looks good. One of these before, I'm not very familiar with it, you can really mess up your panel, the way it looks with it. If you're holding it up here at an angle and trying to sand it, you're going to end up making this thing all wobbly and really poopy looking. You want to hold it flat, you know, and keep a nice motion, and that's one more thing that'll take practice. So just a reminder, it's really easy to mess up your work with this. Okay, when sanding with a fine coarse, like 400 grit, it's going to clog up quite a bit. I just use my stamp like that. It makes it nice and clean again, and then it sands good again. Okay, so we finished sanding it out with 400 grit. Now it's time to probably unmask from your primer and sand all your edges and prep the back side of your panel for paint. After you've prepped your main surface, I focus on prepping the rest of your panel. I'm using red Scotch-Brite, where it's bare metal. I'll be epoxying it before I paint it, so this didn't really all need primer. Once I'm done with that, I'll be seam sealing it. Okay, so I was prepping over the back of my panel, and I couldn't help but notice there's a nice crack right here. That's something you got to look for. You know, you can skip over that and paint over it and try to not flux the panel and, you know, do some hack work like that, but I'm going to not do that. I'm going to go ahead and weld it up, and I'm going to try to metal finish it because I want to get this stuff painted right now. Rattle can edge primer here. I'm going to go ahead and edge prime the areas that need seam sealed. The seam sealer I'm using is not direct to metal.
Right now, buy new carpet at the Home Depot and the installation in your home. New carpet, free installation.
Okay, so once your parts are hung up in the boot, go ahead and blow them off. Get yourself some cleaners. You'll want to do your research and find out what kind of cleaners you'll want to use before you apply any paint materials. Okay, so the epoxy I'll use has it set for a half hour before I can use it. That's another thing you might want to look into before you do yours. Okay, once you've got your panel blown off and stuff, go ahead and wipe it down, get it nice and clean. This removes all your greasy fingerprints, poop from your heel. Don't want that junk on there. Yeah, it's pretty important that you wear a paint suit and respirator and rubber gloves. Helps keep your paint job clean. And you're going to see I'm not wearing gloves because I ran out of them. So I'm going to get paint on my hands. This is called a tack rag. It's kind of a sticky peel majigger. That kind of picks up any of your fine dust. Depending on the gun you use, it's all different. Make sure it's set up right. Learning what height it is might be quite the challenge. You got your adjustment normally here that adjusts how wide your fan is to narrow. And your air pressure and your amount of paint that goes into it. So you might practice on a panel before you spray something important. Got my paint here. I've already reduced it when I painted the body of the car. So depending on what paint you use, how much you reduce it, it's going to be like pretty much your own deal. Okay, so you're spraying panels like these. I like to spray the back zone, all the edges first, and then do the main surface.
Focused on the glass.
Okay, so it's the second coat now. I don't worry too much about getting to the back side to the edges and stuff because I'm going to put 3 coats on it. So I'll total have 2 coats on everything. That's not too important. 3 coats on everything that the sun's going to get. Same door that I had done a pass panel here and done all the body work to this door. If you haven't seen that yet, you can click on a link right here, I think, probably right there. Anyways, I've got 3 coats of clear on there. These are dry. Okay, thanks for watching. Please subscribe to our channel. Like us on Facebook. We'll leave a link in the description.